stories. Elon Musk is continuing his war on legitimate news sources. So he went and said some activist tweeted some inaccurate numbers saying that CBC was 70% government funded, so he put it there and they complained. In fact, CBC does get some of their funding from the government, but they claim that they have very strong defenses to mean the government will not control the content, which I imagine is true. And if Musk's going to go after the CBC, he'd logically want to go after the BBC also, as he tries to remove all sources of objective news and stick with only right and alt-right stuff, which is what he likes. So CBC has now said they're not going to tweet anymore, joining NPR and PBS. And I think, and Musk did block the New York Times for a while to punish them for not paying for a checkmark, but I think they're back. But, hopefully more journalists will leave Twitter and just let it turn into the 4chan Musk wants it to be. It probably is not helpful to prop it up by having the legitimate news waste their time in such a hostile environment. Pacific Hackers is having a meeting coming up on May 6th. So that'd be a good thing to go to. There's a lot of things coming up to go to. That's on Saturday, May 6th, which I guess is about 2 weeks away. And coming up is B-Sides this weekend in San Francisco and RSA next week in San Francisco, which you can go to Thursday for free. The other days you probably don't want to go to unless your boss is paying for it. So these are all worth extra credit if you go to them. Just let me know after you go. All right. And so this is, as AI is coming everywhere, everything is going to be enhanced with AI. So Adobe Lightroom has a feature that will compensate for this speckle created by taking a photograph in low light. I've written one of the projects I've written for my AI course is de-blurring blurred photos, and this looks exactly like the kind of thing AI could logically do. It could detect this kind of pattern of light and remove it. And as you can see, it did a very good job. This photograph looks very blurry, but after cleaning up, it just looks a whole lot better. Of course, it's not 100% accurate, but it makes things look better. So Iowa has rolled back child labor protections. There used to be rules that 14-year-olds could not work too many hours late at night or in certain dangerous jobs or serving alcohol, and they've rolled all those back. They stayed up all night to do it. It is incredible to watch the rush of America back towards the most extreme right-wing policies like from 1950, when we were just explicitly racist, white-only, explicitly sexist, and exploiting people and having very little value placed on education and such. They just are doing a great job at rolling our country back, undoing 70 years of progress. We'll see how far it goes. So Amazon, my hearing hasn't been that good, but one thing they point out, a whole lot of modern movies make it really hard to understand people, and Amazon has added a feature, again using AI, that will detect parts of the dialogue that seem to be obscured by other noises and boost the dialogue volume only, so it's easier to hear. So that might help a lot of people. There's a whole lot of movies, like this famous Batman movie, that feature a character with some kind of mask over his face so you can't really understand anything he says, and they do that a lot. So we'll see how well that works. But I imagine it'll work just fine. This is a supply-side attack. 60 Google Play apps with over 100 million installs included a third-party library. And this is a pretty good technical type write-up, but they don't tell me the name of the third-party library. But anyway, they all used the third-party library. And the third-party library added malicious features to steal data from the users. The malware could collect data on installed apps, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connected devices, and GPS locations, and then it can perform ad fraud by clicking on ads in the background so you don't see it, so that the advertiser will pay for those ad clicks that aren't real clicks. And here it is stealing data. And they said it does something like wait 2 days and then steal data. Yeah, it activates every 2 days to upload your data. And it's quite interesting. And so the app developers took this library out of their product mostly. So this is a pretty interesting situation. We've been hearing about more and more supply chain attacks, and here's another one. If you're an app developer, you almost have to use libraries from somebody else, and it makes you vulnerable to this. If the supplier of that library maliciously updates their library, I think your app will inherit that, and there's no easy way for you to prevent it or detect it. Microsoft is opening up, they're adding features to this thing called Defender Threat Intelligence Defender, which I checked. It appears to be a pay product that you pay for, and then you have an engine like VirusTotal to analyze your threats, but I would imagine, knowing Microsoft, that it integrates with your Microsoft other technologies like Active Directory and such. And so they've now going to open it up, improve it by letting you search by hash or URL. So it's going to have more and more features like VirusTotal, and it's also going to have static and dynamic analysis of malware. So it analyzes the malware, looking for strings and such, that static analysis, and it runs it in a virtual machine to analyze its behavior for you. So it sounds pretty good. It sounds like you can get pretty much the same stuff for free from VirusTotal, but Microsoft's product, I imagine, will be popular at Microsoft-oriented companies that just need to have the Microsoft version of everything so it can integrate with other Microsoft products you're using. In Australia, they had a whole fleet of helicopters, and the helicopters had a defect. If you landed the helicopter and turned off the engine and then turned on the engine quickly, then that would place a lot of stress on the engine, and sometimes it would blow up and stop working. And they fixed that by adding a software upgrade that would force you to wait a while before starting the engine again, but the Australian military did not put the update on. So their whole helicopter fleet is in trouble, and some of them have stopped working and had incidents leading to people landing with only one engine running and some of the engines not working, not a crash, but a bad safety incident caused by their failure to update the software on the helicopter. So this is perhaps the first time I've heard of this, although certainly there are Teslas that have safety problems and have to get software upgrades, but this is the way it's going to be. Now that everything's a computer and everything's getting updates, there's going to be heavy, important equipment that is dangerous because you don't have the updates on it. So DeSantis is just pushing more and more. He's trying to prepare for a presidential run, which is, by the way, not allowed under Florida law. So he's just assuming that they will release him from that when the time comes. But he's trying to fix his sagging poll numbers by just doing more and more crazy right-wing stuff. So the war against Disney is now moving along. He tried to remove, Disney dared to complain about his Don't Say Gay bill, which was bigoted against gay people. And this is because, of course, Disney 10 years ago was very bigoted against gay people. They explicitly restricted all sorts of gay people, and then they had a huge backlash from their employees, many of whom are gay, and they decided to change their mind and accept gay people. And then DeSantis says you've got to be bigoted against them, so they said, no, this is not a good idea, we should accept gay people. And so DeSantis hates them forever for that and decided to punish them by taking away their tax status. And now he says he's going to put a prison right next to Walt Disney World just to make it less desirable. And today he said he's going to make a competing amusement park next to Walt Disney World just to suck away business from them. And Donald Trump opined on this and said he should stop picking on Walt Disney because Walt Disney is incredibly important. Central Florida has nothing else. It's the whole economy of Central Florida is Walt Disney, and you can't. Walt Disney could just leave if you make your environment hostile enough, which is certainly true. So, anyway, he's pushing it, and it certainly seems to me, and I guess most Democrats, that what DeSantis is doing here is showing that he has an appalling bad character, senseless, vindictive, stupid, and self-destructive, and is not much of an improvement over Trump in those regards. But anyway, I seem to be no chance of him winning. His poll numbers are dropping like crazy, and none of these stunts seem to be reviving them. However, if Trump's legal problems get so bad that they actually stop him from running, then DeSantis would probably be the second choice. And that could happen. So men have a much shorter lifespan than women. This has been true for a long time. It's true over the whole world, too. There's a chart here, for example, I thought there was an easier one to see. Yeah, the American mortality rate, various causes. Anyway, there's a lot of argument about what causes this thing. Men have about 6 years shorter lifespan. Yeah, 79 for women and 73 for men in America right now. And people have tried to understand what this is, and there are many possible explanations. One is that men do more dangerous jobs. Men have a higher chance of suicide and car crashes and stuff because they take more risks. And men also refuse to go to the doctor a lot and do not get medical treatment. Women do go to the doctor a lot more than men and get preventive care, but they say it may all just be biological. Anyway, men are also susceptible to more diseases than women for various reasons. Anyway, it's an interesting thing to read. I know this has been true for my whole lifetime, and it may go true all the way back. Certainly, the United States has much lower life expectancies than a lot of other comparable countries because of our extremely unhealthy lifestyle here. A lot of it is guns, a lot of it is poor diet, and a lot of it is poor health care. Many Americans do not have ability to get health care because we don't have socialized medicine, which almost every other developed country has. So CISA has updated their zero trust maturity model. Zero trust is something the government has recommended we should all be doing, and many people don't understand it very well. Zero trust would mean that you do not, every device in your network, when it gets a request from another device, it does not trust it, but instead checks to see if it appears to be compromised or malicious all through your enterprise. And you move to it by breaking your network up into zones and examining traffic crossing between the zones. And as time goes on, you make the zones smaller and the tests more fine, approaching zero trust as sort of a goal. And they have now defined a series of levels of zero trust. So they've made an initial zero trust stage. And anyway, there's 5 pillars of types of devices you would apply this to, or not devices, but other things on your network: identity, devices, networks, applications and workloads, and data. And all right, and you try to develop zero trust in these domains. It is a work in progress. All right, I think that's enough of the news. Let me stop this.